Hi, everyone. My name is Nazarena Hauser. I am on the board of the Hispanic Vote of Broward County, and we are doing an interview today. I have the pleasure of having the Honorable Judge Dale Cohen with us. Welcome, Judge. Thanks for being here with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure, Judge. We have a few questions to ask. The purpose of this interview is really to get to know some of our judges and leaders in the community. So, Judge, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your legal career?
Sure. I grew up here in Broward County. I've lived in Broward County for the past 41 years. I've attended law school at the University of Florida. I attended undergraduate school also at the University of Florida. And I've practiced law here in Broward County for 33 years in total, 14 of which, the past 14 years, I've been a circuit court judge here in Broward County. And the 20 years prior to that, I was in private practice and worked as a state attorney.
And in what division are you currently presiding?
I'm currently sitting in the family division. I've been in the family division for the past 12 years, and I am the most senior family court judge here in Broward County.
Okay. Judge, you are currently in the middle of, towards the end of your term, is that correct?
That's correct. We have an election in August, and then the new term would start up in January.
Okay. Judge, have you received any endorsements?
I have so far 3 organizations have issued endorsements, and all 3 have issued them on my behalf. The Fraternal Order of Police, the Police Benevolent Association, and the Broward Sheriff's Office Deputy Union have all endorsed me.
Wow, that's great. Judge, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Sure. I've been happily married for the past 33 years. We have 2 wonderful children. My son is 31. My daughter is 28, and she just got married February 29th, just before shutdown. So we got lucky and we were able to have a full wedding for her.
That is amazing. Congratulations. Judge, do you have any hobbies, or how do you stay active?
I've been active my whole life, mostly known as a tennis player, and I grew up playing in the junior tournaments and always had a ranking. But when I stopped playing tennis, I started doing long distance running. I've run 4 marathons, and I've also participated with cycling groups in South Florida, South Broward Wheelers. We'd go out on a Saturday morning with about 100 people,
Wow.
take up a lane of traffic. I'm sorry, Broward County, for doing that. But we would ride about 50 to 60 miles on a typical Saturday. And then we repeat that again on Sunday morning. So I should be in better shape than I am, but this is the body that I was born with. And try and get it.
Amazing. That is amazing, Judge. Judge, if I can turn the subject to something a little bit more personal, if that's all right with you. I heard that you are a cancer survivor. Is that correct?
That is correct. I had run a triathlon on a Sunday, and 2 days later, my doctor called me up with some bad news that a biopsy had turned positive. I had a skull-based cancer, and I had to go through the full regimen of surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. I had to be out of work for 5 months.
Wow.
But I've tried to, make that as a positive as much as I can. Yeah, this cancer was 10 years ago. Lucky for me, they were able to get the entire cancer in surgery. And because I was in such good health, they thought that they can give me as much treatment as the body can humanly handle. Even though I may not have needed it, they gave it to me. And then because I'm a judge and I was out of work for 5 months, my diagnosis is public, everybody knows it. So when people do come down with cancer, a lot of them come to me in the courthouse for guidance and help. And a lot of dealing with cancer is not just the physical, but the emotional. And it's very difficult to deal with it. And if I can't help with the medical, obviously, but I can help with the emotional. And I'm always happy to talk to anybody that does come down with, a diagnosis like that.
That is remarkable, Judge. Thank you. That is very admirable of you. Judge, let's turn a little bit towards the conversation towards the courtroom. What would you say is your judicial philosophy?
And judicial philosophy is a tricky question because when it comes to what is a judge's philosophy on how to be a judge and be the judge that you want to be, you need to look at what type of work you're doing. A lot of times we hear, oh, all a judge does is call balls and strikes. And that is true on an appellate level. But when you're in a family division where we're dealing with children and protecting children and families in crisis and high conflict, sometimes the judge can't just sit back and call balls and strikes. The judge actually has to get involved. And we have tools. We go through extensive training, and we learn tools that would assist families in learning to co-parent together. We learn about tools that get children therapy, what type of therapy they need, and what's the best way to try and repair families so that that the children don't suffer. I always tell parents, when you have a child, you can get divorced, but you two are stuck together for life, because until somebody passes, you all are always going to be a family, whether you're married or not. And it's important for your child to think that their parents love each other, and that anything you do that is negative in front of the child negatively affects the child. And it's very important that not happen. So in family court, we certainly are not calling balls and strikes. We're on the playing field with the parties, and we're trying to do everything we can to save the family. And in criminal court, because I was a circuit court judge in doing felonies for 2 years, we don't get on the playing field. We sit back and we call balls and strikes in criminal court.
And Judge, what kind of cases do you currently preside over, just generally so everyone knows?
This morning I had the pleasure of doing 2 adoption cases, and that is always a joy. We do a lot of name changes. We do a lot of paternity cases, and mostly dissolution of marriage cases.
Okay. Are you currently also dealing with domestic violence cases?
We do. Once a week, any family that is assigned to my division because they're going through a divorce or have a paternity case, those cases stay with me. The state of Florida has a policy, which is an excellent policy. We call it one judge, one family. And this way the judge understands all the family members, the judge understands the case, and you don't want 2 different judges making rulings for one family when they may not have the full information about what's going on. And it's better for the litigants because they get to know me, and when they come to court, they know they're dealing with the same judge, and they can feel comfortable knowing that they already have an established relationship with the judge.
Absolutely, understood. Judge, obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, and how has that changed the ability of a person to go through the court system, specifically in your courtroom? How are those hearings happening today?
Yeah, this has been a complete new and novel issue for us in the courts and as judges, because we've never used electronics before to conduct hearings. And we have a great technology staff who quickly got us on Zoom, quickly got us programs up and running. And we've been able to do all our hearings through Zoom. We are able to, when everybody follows proper procedures, introduce evidence just like they would if they were physically in court. Documents can be shown to witnesses. Witnesses can be cross-examined regarding documents. Evidence can be introduced. And I've already conducted, I'd say, about 5 full family trials in addition to, probably 50 to 100, just regular hearings. I think the latest count in Broward is we have about 6,000 Zoom hearings that have already been conducted in the last 6 weeks. So we're doing pretty well with it. It's also enlightened us because at this point, and I realize how well it's going, that I think we could save a lot of people's time, money, and effort by using Zoom in the future. You know, I have a lot of litigants where the husband might live in California and the wife lives here in Fort Lauderdale. And then the husband ends up having to fly to Fort Lauderdale every time there's a hearing, and it's not necessary. Um, sometimes we can accommodate them by phone, but sometimes we can't. So if we could do it by Zoom, we could eliminate a lot of expense in travel for them, time, getting a rental car, a hotel. We can save thousands of dollars by having a simple 30-minute hearing by Zoom. And it works for attorneys too. There's lawyers that practice in Broward and they live in South Miami or West Palm Beach. And some of our hearings last 5 minutes. Some get canceled at the last minute. By allowing them to appear by Zoom, they don't have to travel back and forth. It saves their clients money. It saves them time and effort. So I think this is going to be a godsend, and really, it's really going to make a huge improvement on the family courts now that we have this tool, we know it works, and we can use it.
Judge, do you think that having these hearings on Zoom has changed the formality of being in a courtroom? What has been your experience?
I think in the beginning, lawyers were a little less appropriately dressed. I'm not going to say they were badly dressed, but I'd say the last 2 weeks, almost everybody's been wearing a suit. So I see it becoming more formal. I think in the beginning it was more of a stopgap measure to, oh, let's run Zoom for 2 weeks because we'll be back in the courthouse and everything will be back to normal. So we don't need to be as formal. But now that I think we realize that there's a good chance we're going to be on Zoom until 2021, people are now treating this as if they're in court. And I'm going to start wearing my robe for Zoom hearings soon. As soon as I get brave enough to go down to the courthouse and grab my robe, I'll start wearing it for Zoom hearings. But until then, this is what you get.
Sounds good, Judge. Well, I think you look very professional, so don't worry about it, Judge. Is it fair to say, Judge, that post-pandemic, you would likely be using Zoom for at least things like motion calendar and case management conferences and things like that?
Absolutely. I know in the culture in family court is very different than the culture in criminal court, because the culture in criminal court is, even if it's a 5-minute hearing, everybody shows up, everybody expects it. There's no such thing as telephonic hearings. And then in family court, it's different. And unfortunately, most of the judges in family were criminal lawyers, so we go with what we know. But having this experience and realizing how well it works, if we could utilize it more and more and make everyone's life easier, there's no reason not to keep doing it.
Perfect.
I'm certainly comfortable doing it, and hopefully in 2021 I will continue using Zoom with this lovely background behind me.
We love it. Awesome. Judge, do you have, as kind of a final question, do you have any tips for the attorneys who are practicing in front of you, maybe some do's and don'ts, things that you have possibly seen may make the entire Zoom process a little bit smoother for everyone involved?
I do. I think it's going to take more work, but the more prepared that we are for hearings earlier in time, if we can get all our documents to the other party 5 days in advance, if we can get every document filed with the clerk or zip or sent to our email in a zip drive 5 days in advance, and make it easy for the court to go through the evidence and the documents while we're in the hearing, things are going to go very smoothly. It's sometimes law firms will send us 6 different email and they'll have 6 different exhibits, and then it's extremely difficult to figure out which email contains the exhibit they're talking about. And hearings go quickly, and in a typical hearing, I have 3 computers on my desk working at the same time, one with the evidence, one with the document, and one with the Zoom. It's hard to, start fishing through email. So the easier you make it for us, the easier you make it for the other side. These hearings should go just as smoothly, if not faster, because attorneys don't have to look for documents in the middle of the hearing that they're going to introduce, because they've already uploaded it to the system.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Judge. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule to sit down with us and go over a few of your practices here today. And we look forward to hearing more updates, maybe at a later time, on this new Zoom legal practice of ours.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, and most important, stay safe.
Absolutely, Judge. Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.